Well, greetings again today. I don't know if this counts as my second video or third one on the second day of the Kent cult. I appreciate y'all. I lost a subscriber. I'm sad to report. One fell by the wayside, so I actually picked up two. So I looked at it figuring I'm going to get another one now. And yeah, I lost one. So 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards, 1 step back. That's okay. Maybe the FBI agent left after I called him out, huh? We don't really know. But I did want to mention to you that the two most evil people in our nation, still alive and still at large, and they committed their crimes, and they did our country in. And I want to explain this to you a little bit. And also, I told this fellow I was going to steal his philosophy today because I really liked it. And I'm going to see if I can, yeah, here it is. I'm just going to read you part of it. I'm not going to read his name to you. I don't know him all that well. But, you know, he says, this is all right. I guess I should give him credit though. But there's 2 short sentences in the middle of his little comment here. We are in a logocracy or logocracy. Etymology is truth. Now, you may say, well, that's man's philosophy. No, it actually corresponds to the word. It really does. And I'm going to prove it since I've got things stacked up on my regular Bible. I'm going to get out Bible of one of the enemies. NIV Study Bible from 1983. It's probably the best study Bible they ever produced. They keep changing it and screwing it up. So I'm going to go to the book of John, my favorite book in the Bible, because that's my first name. Actually, I started reading on the book of John many times. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, but the darkness has not understood it. Then came a man who was sent from God. His name was John. He came as a witness to testify concerning that light, so that through him all men might believe. He himself was not the light. He came only as a witness to the light. The true light that gives light to every man was coming into the world. He was in the world, and through the world, and though the world was made through him, the world did not recognize him. He came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. Yet to all who received him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. Children not of natural descent, nor of human decision, or a husband's will, but born of God. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. John testifies concerning him. He cries out, saying, "This is he of whom I said, he who comes after me has surpassed me, because he was before me." From the fullness of his grace we have all received one blessing after another. For the law was given through Moses. Grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God, but God, the one and only, who is at the Father's side, has made him known. I'm sorry, folks. I got to bump you around here a little bit. I got 2 books underneath this little stand that I use. I'll try not to drop you on the floor. Okay. Oops. Almost lost you. And so we're in the proper name version of the King James Bible. This is the one you are required to purchase to become a member of the Kent cult. I want to give you more value than you give me. Please give me that opportunity. So we're going to turn to the same passage and we are going to read it together if you've got your Bible open. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. Excuse me, it's after lunch. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. The same came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all men through him might believe. He was not that light, but was sent to bear witness of that light. That was the true light, which lights every man that comes into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. He came on his own, and his own received him not. But as many as received him, to them he gave the power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name, which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. And the world was made flesh, and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bore witness of him, and cried, saying, This is he of whom I spoke. He that comes after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. And of his fullness have all we received, and grace for grace. For the law was given by Moses, but grace and truth came by Yeshua the Messiah. No man has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, which is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him. And this is the record of John, when the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, Who are you? And he confessed and denied not, but confessed, I am not the Messiah. And they asked him, Then what, are you Elijah? And he said, I am not. Are you that prophet? And he answered, No. And they said to him, Who are you? That we may give an answer to them that sent us. What say you of yourself? He said, I am the voice of one crying in the wilderness, Make straight the way of the Lord Yahweh, said the prophet Isaiah. And they which were sent to him were of the Pharisees. I've played many roles in my life, and the one I enjoyed the most was John the Baptist, although it scared the shit out of me at the time. Word for word, the claim was that the new NIV was more accurately translated than the King James, the original version. But I can assure you that the modern version, the proper name version, is more accurate than the original King James. But the biggest deal is that the spirit is lacking in the NIV, and it is not lacking in the King James or in the modern English version of the King James. And so I want to break this down, and I don't want to get emotional about it like I started to then, so I'm going to stick to this version, and it stops because they put a heading there. And I read a little bit further in the new version, because it doesn't have these additives that do not belong in it, by the way. These titles for the different sections, those were added to it to make it easier, right? In the beginning was the Word. Well, if we turn to the Greek, the word is logos. So we live in a logocracy. Yeah, the guy's right. And you can say, well, that's just a philosophy. Well, it's a proper perspective. And it's a valid perspective because it is useful. So in the beginning was the law, the logos. And the word was from God. The law was from God. And the law was God. So that's important to note, because people say, you just say the magic words and that's it. You're in, baby. There's no problem. You don't have to do anything. We can do whatever we want, baby. No. We're not in that club, man. That's not right. And John came to testify. Of course, they didn't get the name Yahweh in this section, nor did they get the name Yahshua in particular. And so Christ is mentioned here, and that of course was not his last name, and that I believe was added. I got a footnote here, if I can read the tiny little print anymore. Thought it said letter G. And we're in verse 20. Verse 20, note down here, I, emphatic, contrasting, emphatic, contrast with Jesus, who was always given the higher place. Great. It doesn't tell you that it's the proper name, his real name. You have to remember that the name Jesus was put into the Bible, not back when the Septuagint was done, but as a result of the Septuagint, because the Greeks were worshiping, the Romans were worshiping Zeus. I don't remember if it's a Roman god or a Greek god, but same god, different names. So they had to name him after Zeus. Popular, sales, I guess. Don't ask me, I don't know. I wasn't there. And this fellow's right. Etymology, the origin and true meanings of words, are important because they play word games on us all the time. So etymology is truth, the source of the words. So in order to understand that, we do need to know Greek, we need to know Latin, and we need to know Aramaic, and we need to know Hebrew. And I don't know if that means modern Hebrew, but I think really we have to know Paleo Hebrew. But people get confused between those things, myself included. And remember, the Tower of Babel, the first iteration of Babylon, there were 3 iterations. The first was the Tower of Babel. The second one was Nebuchadnezzar and invading and taking down Jerusalem. And the third one is a mystery. Mystery Babylon, which is falling as we speak and as we meet. That's all there is to it. It's going to take a long time for that big son of a bitch to hit the ground, but it's going to happen. So we just have to remember who's in charge and have no fear, because he's in charge. He is. However, you've got to remember the committee that did this had some alternative lifestyle members on the committee, and so they had extreme influence upon this particular Bible, and their committees keep on having extremer influences. My understanding is that the last plan they had, they were going to take out the pronouns and make them neutral. which would really make it harder to follow who the heck is talking, because if you don't know if it's a man or a woman, you can't, the antecedent is kind of hard to figure out sometimes. And of course, one thing I do like about the NIV over the King James Modern and the New King James and the original King James is that we use quotation marks and we have better punctuation, and that does help. Now, that was not part of the original, that's for sure. They didn't even have quotation marks back then. Heck, they didn't even have a vowel back then. They couldn't even play, what's that? The Price is Right or Jeopardy? Jeopardy, I think. No, what the heck game was that? All I remember is Vanna White. I'm sorry. What a brain dead job she had. And who was the host of that? Pat Sajak? Anyway, the guy's right. The original meaning's important. And of course, what did the Elohim, plural, do? They said, hey, we got to go down there and scramble their words and their language. Otherwise, they're going to try to become like we are. And what do we live in today? In a society in which it's all word games. That's right. It's purposely done to keep us confused. English is a very creative, is the better way to put it, but it's a very sloppy language. And it's very hard for people to learn because so much is implied. It's not easy. It's not an easy language. And it's evolved over time for sure. And the most evil couple that I know of are the Clintons. And what was Hillary famous for? I believe it was attributed to her that Walmart got duty-free ports in the state of Nevada, no less. So they could bring in all that stuff without paying any duties on it at all. And that's how they stocked Walmart up, and that's how they beat, in part, how they beat the mom and pop stores. And Bill shipped all of our industry over there because we're going to get better jobs than that. Let's let them be the slaves. Yeah, right. Same mistake that we made a long time ago. Okay. Yes, dear, I love you too. She wants to argue. What can I say? I have to remember what my grandfather told me, and you can go check that out. I don't recommend the NIV. The footnotes, they lie in the footnotes, and it took me a second read-through to realize it. Maybe a third read-through. So I read this 3 times. That's back when I was recovering from my strokes. This is the one that I actually sat on my butt and read. And it took me 18 months to do a read-through, and I did 3 read-throughs. So I started that before I even knew that I had had strokes. I knew that my mind wasn't working right, and it's like, how am I going to remember stuff? I've read every book on my library shelf except for one. I read the references those other books sent me to. References are important if you want to check to see if anything has credibility, except I have to tell you the truth. A lot of the stuff I say comes from me. Sure, you can reference me. I don't have a problem with that, but other people are going to have a problem with that. So do pray for me that I can get my feet on the ground firmly, properly planted, so that I can write some books. And I don't know if I'm going to have access to libraries when I do it, and I may have to do references later for all I know. But I don't want to shoot for anal perfection. I don't want to be that tight-assed about it, that perfectionist. I guess narcissistic is the right word after all. I'd be damned, my housekeeper's birthday was the other day. That's the old housekeeper. She unselected herself. What can I say? I prefer it that way. So, Amazon has a particular symbol on the sides of his trucks. You know that wonderful drawing from my perspective, not yours. That wonderful logo. Looks like an arrow. That's straight from the pits of hell. That is the symbolism from ancient Kaza, the Khazarians. Khazaria. That's etched in stone, literally. And if you want to know what's in the Bible about how they like to view these things, especially large phalluses, and that's what's on the side of the truck that goes down the road saying, "Fuck you, America." Yeah, that's what that is. And you need to think that. And you need to remember that through their symbolism, because we are ruled by symbols, they will be revealed. And they're being revealed through their symbolism. And of course, if you look at the old frescoes and the old carvings, you'll see a guy out there with in his hand, they worship the phallus. That's why we end up with these tall steeples on these churches, because that's the phallus hidden, so we wouldn't know it. That's also why we ended up with a cross for the symbol in the shape of the letter T for one of their original gods way back then. It stands for him. The symbol that we modern believers should have is the tombstone rolled away from the grave. You move 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and you're deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. Yahweh bless. Thank you for blessing me with your time.